Hello, I'm David Harris of the American Jewish Committee. Like many of you, I'm sure I followed very closely the events in Colleyville, Texas, the reports of hostage taking at a synagogue, and the threats by the hostage taker. Fortunately, law authorities acted with great courage and success, and everyone was released, and the hostage taker has been, shall we say, neutralized. The first word that I heard and the first word that I felt was terror, was fear. Then came relief, gratitude that this was over. But I want to sort of introduce a third notion as well into this conversation: anger, outrage. Anger and outrage that in the 21st century, Jews who simply wanted to go and practice their faith on the Sabbath, on the Shabbat, in a neighborhood synagogue, faced this kind of danger. And it wasn't the first time, nor was it the second or third time. It's becoming an increasing phenomenon in the United States. And for me, it's outrageous that in this country, which I love so much, which I'm sure we all love so much, we are facing this increasing spate of anti-Semitic attacks. The FBI says that roughly 60% of all faith-based hate crimes in America in recent years have been targeted at 2% of the population, the Jews. Not to mention the general rise in hate crimes and acts of bigotry in this country. So, if you share the outrage, the next question becomes, what do we do about it? Once we've tweeted, once we've spoken to our friends and colleagues, what then? And our answer at American Jewish Committee has been quite consistent for the last 20 plus years, since this reemergence of anti-Semitism was first noticed in Europe and in more recent years has crossed the Atlantic to the United States. Number one, people, organizations, institutions, and yes, governments need to recognize the problem. It should never be an afterthought. It should never be a footnote. It is a front and center problem that is growing, and yes, that is cancerous. And if those folks don't acknowledge it, how can they ever plan to fight it? Number two, having acknowledged it, people need to be swivel-headed. This isn't anti-Semitism coming from one source and one source alone. This is anti-Semitism, as we at AJC have been saying for over 2 decades, coming from multiple sources. And serious people need to be swivel-headed. Those who want to weaponize it in the name of their particular political or partisan cause are not doing the fight against anti-Semitism a favor. The person who attacked the Colleyville, Texas synagogue was not motivated by the same thinking as the person who attacked the synagogue in Pittsburgh or the synagogue in California. And those people who've been attacking Jews on the streets of New York City and Rockland County and diners at restaurants in Los Angeles are not the same people who are marching in Charlottesville, Virginia, chanting, "The Jews will not replace us." And those Jews who've been attacked and too often killed in cities in Europe, from Toulouse to Paris to Brussels to Copenhagen and beyond, were not attacked by the same ideology as the folks in Pittsburgh or Poway. Multiple sources, and all of them need to be acknowledged. Unfortunately, too many, including in the media, are unprepared to acknowledge the sources when they don't fit the narrative, meaning the Charlottesville, Pittsburgh, Poway, far-right, white supremacist, neo-Nazi narrative. Lord knows that is a serious, if not ominous, danger to Jews and to our societies, but it doesn't end there. And if you follow the media, too often what happens is when the sources are elsewhere, then suddenly there's this whole ambiguity that descends, a kind of desire to get away from the motivation if it doesn't, again, fit the narrative. We cannot allow that to happen. Again, those who are serious have to know the sources and be able to tailor a strategy for each of them. And thirdly, we have to understand that we're all in this fight together. In this case, it happens to be about Jews and synagogues and the right of Jews to worship. But all of us know that hate crimes, bigotry, have been rising in this country. And all of us have to understand that whether it's a synagogue that's attacked, or a mosque that's attacked, or an African American church that's attacked, whether it's immigrants that are being demonized, or whether it's a terror attack against an LGBTQ venue, it ultimately strikes at the heart of what we as Americans believe is the right direction for our country. Respect for one another, a celebration of pluralism. So the answer to the Texas tragedy is not just to tweet or to express thoughts and prayers or terror or relief. They're all important. The ultimate answer is to change our way of thinking and to change our way of behavior as a result. We at the American Jewish Committee have been in the fight against bigotry and prejudice and racism and anti-Semitism for over 100 years. We hope you'll join us. We need to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, and ultimately the strategy is we have to defeat it. Never minimize, never trivialize, never underestimate the power of anti-Semitism. More than 2,000 years of it have demonstrated what it can do. In response, let's stand together, let's fight it together, and let's build a better society for all.